Welcome to the Credentialed Podcast, a podcast devoted to share experiences and opinions in sports. Follow me on Instagram at _credentialed_podcast. Check me out on YouTube at the Credentialed Podcast. I'm your host Ryan. Welcome and let's roll. 欢迎大家来到持证上篮节目，在这里我们分享体育观点、运动员故事，我们向他人学习。激励自己不断成长，关注我的闲鱼号 Ryan 老师之持证上篮，挑选相关运动产品，帮助你全方位安心购物，点亮你的一天。我是你的主持人 Ryan， 我们开始今天的内容吧。All right.Hello, everybody. This is Ryan coming from Portland, Oregon. So I'm finally back to the Pacific Northwest and really excited today to have Aaron joining me. Obviously, we're going to talk about basketball today, of course, as you guys already know. So the NBA Finals is going to be between the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat. The Denver Nuggets, they really rolled through the Los Angeles Lakers 4-0. And the Miami Heat, they were on the verge getting that big turnaround from the Boston Celtics, but they were able to hold on to their victory and advance to the NBA Finals, which is going to be happening on June the 1st. They're going to start their first game in Denver. So Aaron, obviously you've been following the NBA and watching the games for a little bit. Let's chat a little bit about, really just about the previewing, talk about the key matchups. What do you think about, this series going forward? Kind of like what we did, in our last couple podcasts talking about, the Lakers and Warriors, all the good stuff. Just start, obviously we're already in the finals and everything. What's your impression of those two teams, even getting there? What do you think about their path and how these two teams really kind of ended up getting there?
Yeah, these two teams definitely both have very different paths. You see the Nuggets being the first seed, while the Miami Heat being the 8th seed. One had to, with the Denver Nuggets going through the Timberwolves, which I thought was a pretty easy series for them, and then going to play the Suns, which is a little bit more competitive, and then playing the Lakers, which they swept them, but it was still a relatively competitive series, even though it was a 4-game sweep. I thought the Lakers definitely tried everything they could to stop Jokic, but given how Jokic is in these playoffs, it's pretty much impossible to stop. And then on the other hand, with Miami being the 8th seed, they had to go through a bunch of their hurdles to being a play-in team too, the first play-in team to ever reach the NBA Finals. So they're definitely a team that's already made history and looking to do more. So it'll be interesting to see how these two match up. I think just from a talent standpoint, though, Denver definitely has way more talent than Miami. But Miami just has all the intangibles, as we can see, just they can get hot anytime. They have so many good shooters on that team that if 2 or 3 of them gets hot, then they can definitely win any game against anyone. So I think given that, I think Miami definitely should bank on their 3-point shooters a lot, try to play a very offensive oriented game. I think at this point it's just impossible to stop Jokic, given how good he is. You can't really double the guy because he's going to make the perfect pass, and then if you try to defend him one-on-one, then he's just going to torch you in the paint, and so he's just impossible to guard. And then his 2-man game with Jamal Murray is just unstoppable as well. They were just doing that all game long against the Lakers, and they really had no answer. I think what Denver also has an advantage in is also they're just a deeper team as well. They have so many different weapons, like Bruce Brown coming off the bench. You have Michael Porter. When he's hot, he can also be pretty good as well. And then obviously Jamal Murray, who had a historic conference finals for Denver as well. having like 50, 40, 90, was scoring around like 30 or more points. So it was definitely like very impressive at his end. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like how these two match up. But I think just given the talent that Denver has, it's going to be really difficult for Miami to really respond to that. Yeah,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts,
Yeah,
Ryan?
speaking of, I think just the rosters and really kind of how this team have structured. I think one of the biggest thing I've seen from this Miami team is really lack of depth. But I think it really also shows just kind of how how incredible their journey has been. They're losing Victor Oladipo, they're losing Tyler Hero. Those are two guys that can either start. They can be like starters on any other teams in the NBA. So they're playing with those guys that are really kind of under the radar. Those Caleb Martins, those Duncan Robinsons, those Gabe Vincents. Those are the guys that you probably wouldn't really heard about their names all the time. But it's those guys that keep making plays, but also with a very strong leader in Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. So I feel like from a talent wise, I feel like the Nuggets, they're really taking an edge in this. Their team, I think throughout the season is relatively healthy. That's why I feel like they're able to make into this position, being the number one seed in the West. They have the depth that he talked about. Michael Porter Jr., Bruce Brown, Jeff Green, so like Christian Brown coming out from the bench. I mean, I feel like the Nuggets is such a complete team that it will be really hard to challenge them, throughout their journey, even to the Western Conference Finals. So I think, it will be really interesting to see how much of that internal drive of the Miami Heat can hold on versus like a really complete, really mentally and physically set the Nuggets team. I think both are really good coaches, Mike Malone and Eric. I think they've done a great job, coaching their team. They've been in the league for so many years. I think it's just gonna be a heck of a matchup with those two teams. But for me, I feel like the Nuggets, they're gonna have an edge in this. I feel like they're really playing like a team. Jokic has been one of the best player in this in NBA as far as now. But I just feel like just the depth of the Nuggets and also just the coaching adjustment, the personnel they're able to have. I think we're really giving Miami a huge challenge, and also the fact that they went out 7 games against Boston. They won a couple games against the previous opponents, but I feel like the Nuggets are a little well rested. So I will be surprised, if the Nuggets do not come out very fresh, especially in their first 2 games at home. And Miami really have to catch up from behind. And, with all the stuff they've gone through this season, I think they'll be having a pretty hard time, kind of battling physically and mentally. But, you never know. I think it comes to the finals, it's really kind of like going to the tournament and, you just never know what's going to happen. But I think it really kind of, it's going to determine who has more drive and who wanted to make plays. And, it's going to be really tight. So I think it's going to be really tight and it's going to be really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing to note is definitely also, like you said, like the Nuggets have home court, and so far in the playoffs, they haven't lost a single home game, and so it's going to be interesting to see how Miami like matches up to that. And Miami has been like a really good road team in the playoffs. Like they won 3 games in Boston, a really tough place to win in the playoffs for sure. And they also won in New York for a few games as well. So definitely like the road warriors versus like the home kings. So we'll see how that goes. And I think it'll be also really interesting to see how Bam matches up with Jokic, because I think it looks like Bam is gonna play a similar role to how AD was to Jokic. And AD really had no answer. And in my opinion, Bam is not as good a defender as AD. And so just even those two matchup, it looks like Jokic like definitely has the upper hand. So I think it really will take all the good shooters in Miami to really just go off for them to even win like 1 or 2 games. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting how that goes.
Yeah, I think one of another point. I think when the Nuggets are doing the regular season, I thought they were playing the Trailblazers with someone, but I think one of the comments are talking about perimeter defense. I think those are the guys that can really stop you from getting into their paint. So I think this is one of the biggest advantage for the Nuggets is their defense. I think they're one of the teams that can really hold Miami if Butler dribbling the ball. They're going to set up the wall, not letting you get to the paint or not letting you attack. And then have a really good rim protector and Jokic sitting out there and just trying to block the shots. So I think this is going to be a big one. It's how you open up your perimeter. If you cannot open it up, can you make shots? If you can, they're going to probably open up a little bit. So I think there will be a lot of adjustment either in game or, pre-game. They're going to talk about it. They're going to be, hey, like, how are we going to attack in this? So I think just that versatility of the Denver defense, I think that will give Miami a really big challenge. But also, like you said, I think Jokic has a better edge than Adebayo. I think especially, with his skills passing the ball, his being able to shoot threes, and it's really hard to find another guy. Is that long and tall and that can going up there and shoot threes, that can pass the ball, with someone doing some backdoor cuts, and it's gonna be rough. For Adebayo or for someone else just coming in and try to play defense. What do you think about the Butler matchup? It could be, obviously the Denver they're gonna put, I don't know, Jeff Green, Christian Brown, MCP, Bruce Brown. They're gonna try to use everybody. But what do you think about kind of the matchups with Butler for this Nuggets team?
Yeah, I think the Nuggets should definitely take a page out of the Celtics. I thought the Celtics actually defended Butler pretty well, especially compared to the Knicks or the Bucks. They were able to hold Butler to a pretty low scoring and shooting percentage in the past couple of games, and it's mostly because of Tatum's defense, I thought, and just Boston building a wall whenever Butler drives into the basket. Like Butler actually, in my opinion, like doesn't have a whole lot of offensive skill set. Like it's more so just him driving to the basket and just goals. He's really good at that, and obviously a really good finisher, really good at getting to the line, drawing fouls, using his pump fake game and everything. His shooting isn't really necessarily the best, but he's been super clutch in the playoffs, and we'll see how that holds up against the Denver Nuggets team. I think Denver's strategy is definitely to put like a taller defender on Butler and try to like not go for the pump fakes that he always uses. And I think they should be able to limit him with the combination of I think Aaron Gordon is going to be key for the Nuggets. I think he's going to be one of the primary defenders on Butler, and just judging from the way that he was able to guard LeBron, guard KD, guard like Anthony Edwards, like he's done a good job so far in the playoffs. So I have no doubt that he's going to be able to slow down Jimmy Butler as well. At least like contain him a little bit. Like Jimmy's probably still going to have his like Jimmy buckets game or like scoring like 40 or 50-point game, but I think overall they should be able to limit him a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like the strategy could be like, okay, so let Jimmy Butler beat us, right? So if he can, like, go score like 80 or go score 60, but I think they really have to stop all the players that are around him. So I think if Jimmy can really make those shots and he can really kind of carry this whole team, are you able to play great defense on the rest of the team for the Miami team? But also I like the fact that, we talk about Aaron Gordon. I think this is a guy I didn't even talk about it, in our previous talk, but I think he's the guy that I think is very underrated. He's a guy that is that long, lengthy, he can run, he can jump, and this guy won the slam dunk the other year. I think he's a guy that really go underrated, especially this Nuggets team. You have Jamal Murray, you have Jokic, and you have a couple guys coming up from the bench, but I think Aaron Gordon is the guy. His athleticism is going to bring a lot of trouble for this Miami team. His second chance rebound, his offensive rebound, his defense, his block shots, his energy that he can bring to this team. I think they're going to fire all the fans up, in Denver or in, all the places they're going to be in. So I think this is a guy going to be key. Obviously, like you said, from a defensive perspective, really, you don't have that lengthy, have that Jared Vanderbilt on Steph Curry, but also like really from a defensive end, getting the second chance rebound opportunities and play with energy, playing with those huge emotions. I think that would be really huge for those finals, because everybody gonna come out a little bit tight. Those are two teams that obviously Miami's been to the finals, and has the Nuggets been to the finals? They've been there, right?
No, they haven't.
No,
They
yeah,
haven't been.
they have never been to the finals. So I think this is gonna be a big one, right? So everybody gonna come out with a little bit of rust, and you also know that some of the Miami players, they have never been to the playoffs, or never been to the finals. Everybody's gonna come out with some rust. How can you have that energy? How can you have that, that motivation or that drive just to continue to win and continue to make plays on and off the court? If someone can get a 20-point lead for Nuggets, I don't think Miami's coming back for the first game. So I think it's gonna be how you come out and how you play defense and how you play with energy. So I think these are the things that may get really neglected when we talk about playmakers, play by play. But I think especially coming down for the first game, whatever team that wanted to win, they have to come with huge energy. So I think that will be really huge for those two teams. And yeah, so anything else you wanted to add in terms of matchup? Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, the first game is gonna be super important, like setting the tone. Now that Miami just finished their series with Boston, I feel like they kind of have that momentum. They kind of have that still flowing, like intensity still pretty high, while the Nuggets have been resting, even though that could be seen as an advantage, but at the same time, like they could be just like they haven't practiced in a while, like they're not really in game mode per se, because like they haven't played in so long. So that could be like a disadvantage. And I feel like Miami should definitely like try to like come out of game one just like being like super high energy and try to like shoot a lot of threes and just try to see if they can like run them out of the gym or something. Definitely like should try to build off of game one if they can.
Yeah, absolutely. Another interesting point, obviously in this podcast, I love to sharing, the kind of the business side of sports. I just look at the ticket price. So the cheapest one is around like $400. So it's really not that bad. It's a lot cheaper than I've expected. Because I think last year when I was in San Francisco, the cheapest is like $1,000, and it has to be like top, like very high. So it's really not that bad. So if you guys have the the bandwidth or time, or just the money, I mean, it's $400-$500 is not the worst at all. So also the same thing applies to Miami. So if you want to go on there for a quick vacation and hang out there for a little bit, I don't think it's a bad option. So just saying, just putting it out there.
Beach sounds nice right now in the summer.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think also just kind of in Denver, like there's nothing to do besides basketball. Like you can't really go over to like snowboarding or skiing or like, but you can still go to some parks and stuff, hiking, but like there's probably nothing to do outside of that. But but if you go to Miami, there's definitely a lot of stuff to do. So it'll be really fun. But yeah, I mean, in terms of this matchup, so like game one, any final thoughts? Anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, definitely. I think this might just be one of the worst like TV rating series, final series in like a while. I feel like the Nuggets like don't really have a huge fan base. Like you said, like first time making the finals, and then Miami like being a seed. They also don't really relatively have a smaller fan base compared to like the Celtics or the Knicks that they beat. So I think the ratings are definitely gonna be a lot lower compared to a lot of the other series that happen in these playoffs.
Fair.
But yeah.
Good point. I think another thing is like because I sell like products like jerseys and stuff, like a lot of the jerseys and on Fanatics they're sold out. Stuff on Nike are sold out. So the only thing I would say is they do not have a lot of inventory. So if you guys wanted to buy some stuff, you have to take it right now or you're not gonna get anything. So but like, unless like Warriors, the Lakers, they still have a lot of inventory left because they're popular teams, and a lot of the suppliers, they do not really expect the Nuggets or the Heats going to the finals. But obviously if you go to their team store, their team store website, you can find just a little bit more products, than some other website. But it's kind of interesting, right? If we talk about TV ratings, merchandise sales are not going to be as high as, the Warriors, Celtics last year. They're just not going to be that popular, right? But I think it's the finals, right? It's NBA finals. It's fun, and I have a lot of friends that are going to be traveling back and forth, just watching, covering the matches and everything, which would be really fun. So, Aaron, do you want to give a quick prediction of this series? Who's going to win the 2023 NBA Finals?
Yeah, so to sum it up, I would definitely have the Nuggets. All the different points that I mentioned before, I think the Nuggets are just too deep of a team, and I have the Nuggets in 5. How about you, Ryan?
I think I'll probably go for a 6 game. And I'm probably gonna take the Heats. Obviously I talk about it, but I think it's gonna take the Nuggets a little bit more time. I think it's gonna take them 1-2 more years to win it all. I think this Miami team had that experience. I think they have that coaching advantage, I would say. The coaching will be huge. The players, they've been there before, they know what to expect, and they have experience. So I think obviously from a paper side, right, they got more players, they got more talents, but I think this Heats team can really give us a surprise. And I feel like it's just gonna be a tough out. It's just gonna require Jimmy Butler or someone else really gonna make those plays down the stretch. I think it's gonna be as tight as hell, right? It could be a 2 or 3 1-point match, could be another 1 or 2 just within 10 points within 5 games match. I think it's gonna be really tight. I don't really see any games getting blown out by 20 or 30 points, things like that. I think every game is gonna be tight. And I think both teams will fight, and they're going to fight till like game 6. So just give me Heats in 6. So we'll be really excited to see if the AC can really upset another 1 seed. And also in terms of the team record, the Nuggets are really leading that, right? So the Heats they're just over 500, right? Would the regular season really matter when it comes to the playoffs? And is there anything else that NBA could do to really kind of maybe shorten the season a little bit, adjust their schedule a little bit? I think that could be some topics if the Heats really, went ahead and, got it done. So I think I'm just really excited to see, what it will bring. And yeah, so, but sounds like we have a different result, different predictions, which will be fun, see how it's going to go. Awesome. All right, Aaron, any final thoughts do you would like to share to our fans before we wrap up our today show?
Nothing from my side. I'm just excited to watch these finals. Like it's been a while since last year's finals, so like it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be an experience. So I'm enjoying it.
It'll be fun. Awesome. All right, Aaron. So thank you so much again for joining me, and I look forward to talk to you a little more after the game, or a couple more games after. We're gonna do a quick recap. But hey, hopefully everybody gonna enjoy your experience, enjoy the NBA Finals. Thank you so much.
我们知道在世界上呢有很多喜欢体育的朋友们，你或许呢在某一个球队某一个集团工作哈，或者是呢你是某一个球队的热衷粉丝哈，我们都非常期待你来跟我们一起去分享你的故事哈。如果你有你的故事，如果你想来在我们这个平台去分享哈，大家呢都可以来联系我哈。那么我们的 Instagram 账号是 the_credentialed_podcast。那么大家也可以通过邮箱的方式来联系我哈。那么 thecredentialed.basketball@gmail.com。那么也是非常感谢大家的支持啊！我们希望通过这样的方式跟大家取得联系，希望你能够享受我们这样的一个播客。谢谢大家。